Hello everyone, and welcome to his author's voice, Stories with a Twist. The next story is based upon a couple of scientific discoveries that have come to pass in the last year. I hope you like it. Churchill. There's an old sepia print etched in my memory. Where the physical object is now, I know not. But in this print, the line of humanity shuffles forward to its inevitable end. You are where you are in the queue. You can't swap places, overtake, or halt. The far end of the queue is like an inverted event horizon on the edge of a black hole. At the end, you rise into thin air. Everyone sees you disappear, but you feel as though you are frozen between tick and tock for eternity, looking down at the world that you are leaving. That image haunted my dreams, waking and during sleep for years. Although recurring every time I dreamt it, I had edged forward a fraction in the queue. I was only able to see the back of the stranger before me and the edges of those in front of her. The event that diffused the dream so that it lost its symbolic intensity happened in the lab recently. I am a marine biologist. I had just discovered the superpower of a millimeter-sized jellyfish, which did not stay in line like other creatures until that moment of frozen space-time. My new best friend, Turritopsis dornii, proved unorthodox. No cue for it. It spread through life in a wave. But as old age called, it reverted to its pupa state to start its life again. My team was working to see whether the genome of our new creature could prove a game changer in the aforesaid terminal line of human destiny. It was quiet, unheralded work. I had no idea that I would be wrenched out of its relative privacy and into the public glare of global media. I was asked to dinner by an astrophysicist friend, Professor Leila Castor, the Nobel Prize winner. We generally met once a year, but this was extra. I guessed it must be really important. Despite her advancing years, she had the most free-ranging intelligence I'd ever met. Our dinners normally involved a game of tit for tat. She would blow my mind over some scientific advance in her field, and me likewise in return. She tended to hold the high cards in our game because her subject field was more expansive and not confined to earthbound subject matter. Indeed, she'd made world headlines with her conjecture that alien life forms exist among us. We just could not observe them because they had no DNA. What added to the frisson of our meetings was that both our areas of work were top secret. There were a mix of governments and multinationals funding us, and they did so not just because they wanted to lead the field in knowledge, but also because of expected financial returns. Anyway, I finished my discourse on the immortality of Turritopsis dornii. That's great, Jasper. Congratulations. Applications will be a bit late for me, I suspect, she said. It doesn't happen often, but our tales of discovery intersect. I looked at her lined, amused face. Your immortals and my... What? Well, that actually is the question. What? She indicated to the waiter to refill our glasses. Did you catch the news that time about the cigar-shaped objects tumbling through the solar system? If you remember, they called it Churchill. A few years ago. Was it not a UFO? Yes, that one. We intercepted it. Pure luck. We were out there on another project, did a dig into its surface and brought samples back. Took 4 years to return. We finally started analysing. And you found fossil jellyfish? Ha ha, no, not jellyfish. And not fossil. What? You actually found UFOs? Micro-aliens? It was my turn to grin. Maybe both. It's an anomaly, all right. What are they like? Had she brought an image? I just showed her one of the jellyfish. We usually did this. Well, they're bigger than micro, a millimetre across. They're little domed things, like woodlice, but without legs, interlocking. Wow, really? Finally, she pushed her phone across. I looked at the picture of alien life. Something was odd. Weird. Good, you noticed. Well, the edges are all complete individuals, not broken or torn. Your digger pulled out a chunk from a bigger block of them. How amazing. Far more amazing than you might think. She flicked to a full image of Churchill. Well, what am I looking at? Then it hit me. Bloody Nora, the whole thing is composed only of them. We think so. It's one vast collection of identical individuals. We don't know how intelligent they are, or what it was doing in our solar system. But we do have this rather generous digger sample, which is why I wanted to talk with you. The finding has freaked out the politicians. News of it is totally embargoed. I've been asked by a hastily formed intergovernmental steering group to put together a team to advise it. Anything or anyone I want, if you'd like to be part of it. I said yes immediately. My Teratopsis dornii would be well served by my centre in my absence. The first meeting at the Space Research Centre was electric. Layla had all the clout of being world famous. The half dozen or so sitting round the table were an eclectic bunch. Sita Chowdhury, Sri Lanka, entanglement theorist. Bruno Kleit, German, synthetic life chemist. John Merton, English, multidisciplinary science theoretician. Bella Gonzalez, Mexico, cosmologist. Benny Takanawa, Japanese, quantum physicist. Leila Castor, American, astrophysicist. And myself, Jasper Mortensen, marine biologist. Leila introduced everyone, whom she seemed to know on personal, close friend terms, and gave each of us the dossier she'd compiled on Churchill and a sample, and summarised what was known so far, more or less what she'd told me. We were each assigned a lab with digger samples and specialist equipment related to our disciplines and told not to communicate with each other. Layla often set up project teams like this. She wanted the starkest delineation of hypotheses from our individual work to be presented at a great fusion event of disparate ideas. This way, everything would be on the table, she said. We would meet a week to the day. Well, I had a profitable week, ideas-wise, and was itching to get to share it. We each had an hour to present our speculations, and whatever evidence supported them. John Merton did not present. His role was to take the essence of the various hypotheses and project them onto a 3D screen, which filled a wall 5 meters by 5 meters. He developed what he called a synthesis jigsaw, an application which pulled together often wildly conflicting information into the most comprehensible combination. Gestalt, greater than the sum of the parts. An overarching hypothesis, leading, as the cliche goes, to a theory of everything. He only revealed the results of the synthesis jigsaw at the very end. It made us all sit up, like 6 blind sages holding different bits of an elephant. The pachyderm that emerged when we took off our blindfolds floored us, for it was not like any single one of us could ever have imagined. To summarize, Churchill was an advanced civilization's equivalent of our crude Voyager probes. It was composed of interlocking identical units of synthetic life, that is, fabricated for extremes of space. Its synthetic structure was built from silicon, carbon, ammonia, methane, and boron, which enabled it to flourish in a wide range of planetary conditions, as well as space. It was both a probe and a Trojan horse lure. In the latter case, civilizations like ours would bring samples from it into their science labs, where it would absorb everything it needed to know about us. It could, like my jellyfish, restore and rebuild its component parts from the ground up. Even a weapon strike would lead it to reassemble its individual units over time to become whole again. It was propelled by some form of photon energy, slaloming from sun to sun. And possibly the most significant, it was entangled with its parent civilization and was feeding yottabytes of instant information back to its makers. In the middle of hours of stimulating and occasionally critical discussion under John Merton's excellent chairing, Layla suddenly brought our debate to a premature close by holding up her mobile phone dramatically. The stakes have just gone stratospheric. That was a request from the chair of the steering committee. They've received a highest level security call from the Square Kilometre Array telescope in Australia. An object towards us. It is exactly the same shape as Churchill, but 1 trillion times bigger. She looked at us all, her face calm, but we could sense tension underpinned it. The request, or command, if you like, is that this team remains here in situ and advises the committee as events unfold. It looks, friends, as if we will have to give up all plans we might have had until further notice. Well, that was Churchill. I hope you enjoyed it. There are many more short stories on my YouTube channel. His author's voice, stories with a twist. Please check them out and tell your friends and possibly pass on the link to them. In the meantime, if you prefer to read my work, go to my website, which is www.jacksanger.com. There you can download for free novels, plays, short stories, or you can make a contribution. It's entirely up to you. So in the meantime, stay happy. Talk soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.